Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As always, I got another ball review here for you today. Today I am reviewing the Wilson Staff Model R. So Wilson has become slowly one of my favorite golf companies. I think they're very, very underrated, and they win the marketing department almost every year by simply not participating in it. They've won so many championships. A lot of pro players love using their clubs and their golf balls, but you just don't see the type of commercialing or, Instagram, Facebook that you really see from Wilson that you do from the other guys, Callaway and Titleist, all of them. You just see them constantly marketed and advertised all over the place. Wilson kind of stays under the radar a little bit. I think they've got a really big cult following, and I think really just word of mouth, and they're very successful at it. I've used a lot of Wilson model golf balls in the past, really have loved how they feel and everything, so I definitely wanted to give this one a try, because if you don't know about this one, it actually does kind of have a little bit of a gimmick behind it. This one is actually their unpainted golf ball, which even just saying it out loud sounds pretty gimmicky, but as I learned from my last ball review, which was the Q-Star Divide, that sometimes gimmicks can work in today's ball market. So what exactly does Wilson promise that having the golf ball unpainted will do for your game? Well, they're claiming that when a golf ball gets painted, essentially what happens is after you hit it over time and your golf ball bangs into trees and rocks and cart paths and things, it suffers deficiencies on the outside coating, and that outside coating can then affect how the ball flies. So for example, first hole you hit it, it hits off of a cart path or a tree, or heck, even just with the driver if you hit it hard enough. Now the next time you hit it, the ball flight might be a little weird, which sounds like something that only a true pro would really notice or care about, which is where the marketing for this golf ball seems to be. It is definitely their Model R. It's about $50 a dozen, so it's definitely in that pro line market. I wouldn't imagine they're advertising these to a lot of guys who are just beginning the game, and when I test it later with the clubs, we'll see if that really holds true or not. So let's get right into the design of the golf ball. First of all, it kind of has an interesting look. It's almost like an eggshell look. It has a matte finish, but it's not the traditional matte finish. It does look like there's a coating on there of some sort. So even though the golf ball is unpainted, it does have some type of coating on there to get it to stop on the green or maybe to fly better. On the side there, as you can see, boldly with a nice black line says Model A. I definitely like that. It's very easy to line the ball up. It's very, visual, and it stands up against the white background very well. And then the front, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You just have your basic black and white kind of simple Wilson model. It's the number style that Wilson has always used. They always probably will use it. So I'm going to go ahead and chip and putt around the green with it a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of get a feel and see how it performs. Okay, so after pitching and putting around the green a little bit, here's some of my thoughts. So I do think it is tailored more toward professionals. It's definitely a firmer golf ball, probably made for high swingers. It definitely has a pretty loud click coming from the putter, as well as my sand wedge from around the green chipping. As far as chipping, getting the checkup, it didn't seem to have an issue, but this golf ball does respond in a little bit weird of a way I haven't experienced yet, and that's that the ball actually checks up and tugs no matter what, but it has a pretty strong release. Usually I get one or the other, where a golf ball really doesn't tug or check up at all and it just kind of rolls continuously, or it tugs like the Divide did, tugs back and then barely releases. This one's kind of a mixture of both. It actually tugs pretty hard no matter the situation. It checks up really well, but then it has a very steady roll afterwards. So you will get a decent amount of roll afterward, even though the ball does check up, which is kind of weird. I haven't seen that on too many golf balls. I don't know if that's intended. I don't know if it's an accident, but it's definitely weird. There's a learning curve to it. As far as putting goes, one thing I really like about the putter, guys, is that essentially when you putt with this golf ball, it does feel firm and clicky, but you do not have to bring that putter back very far at all. Usually it's the opposite. Usually the softer golf balls, you just kind of give a nice little hit to, and they travel a lot further because they compress a little bit more on the putter. But this is not the case here. This one's very firm, but I mean, it just a little tap and your ball roll a good 5 to 10 feet, even uphill, I found. So honestly, very good there. I like that. The less amount I can come back and do, the better. It leaves a little bit less room for air. But overall, I was really impressed. Around the green, it seems to check up well. It seems to respond well. Even on bladed chips, it actually still was able to tug and come back, even though it had that release. So it's actually very impressive. It was very easy to use the alignment tool and make putts. So all in all, let's hope these numbers translate over on the actual club test. All right, so after some club testing, I can tell you one thing already. It's a very firm golf ball. Actually, it's probably the firmest golf ball I've ever tested, just because I've had golf balls when you mishit them, they definitely let you know, but I've never actually had one where when you hit it square in the center, it still lets you know. With this golf ball, even if you hit center in an iron shot, now keep in mind my driver swings about 100 to 105, so I have about an average to fast, but not super fast swing speed by any means. But when I came through and hit it square on those bladed hollow irons, I felt it in my arms a little bit. I mean, it felt good, it felt square, and the ball went a long way, but I definitely felt it, and that's weird for me. Honestly, I didn't care for it very much. I want a golf ball that lets me know when I hit it wrong, but feels like butter and is smooth when I hit it right. This one will let you know either way. So some of you might like that, some of you might not. For me, it was kind of weird. It's definitely another learning curve of it. But let's get into these numbers. So first of all, the 50-yard pitch with a 54-degree sand wedge. I got 7,983 RPMs of spin. That's pretty good. I mean, right around that 8,000 mark is usually what I hit. As far as the consistency goes, it's hit and miss. Most of the time, I'll say it's pretty good. It's around that 8,000 mark all the time. There was once or twice I got over 10,000, and there was once I got around 6,900. But overall, I'll give it like a B+ as far as that consistency goes. It actually is pretty decently forgiving, which I wasn't expecting. Moving right along, we'll go into the pitching wedge now. I got 7,867 RPM on those swings. Not doing the ball mile per hour anymore, as you saw from my last video, trying to get away from that. But I will say this one was extremely consistent. There was only one that was weird at 5,600. The rest of them were right in a 500 RPM zone, which is amazing consistency. When you're hitting full pitching wedge shots, you really want to know the spin you're going to get. And honestly, this is probably one of the better golf balls I've tested when it's come to that. That's a really impressive number. I would have liked to have seen it a little higher at about that 8,000 mark, but honestly at 7,900 almost, who cares? Now this one I'm pretty excited for, the 7-iron, because honestly this golf ball is so firm, and even when you hit it really well, it still rings your arms a little bit. So I'm interested to see if that gets any extra distance. And honestly, looking at these numbers already, this is kind of interesting. Actually, it's really interesting. I'm not going to lie. So ball mile per hour speed was 109.8. So that's pretty in the normal range. 110 is usually what I shoot for. And then distance wise, now I usually don't do distance, but I'm going to do it for a specific reason. 146.6. That's actually a little lower than I usually get. I'm usually about 155, but the only reason I bring it up is because of the spin. So this golf ball spins like a maniac. So keep in mind, this is with a 7-iron again. I got 6,911 RPM spin, which that is nuts. It's astronomical. But remember, this is after me hitting it 20-25 times and me taking the 10 best hits I had. Even sometimes, actually, I think on this one I only had 9 best hits I had. So it's not like these numbers are really flubbed in any way. I mean, there was even one time I got, there was 2 times I got over 8,000 RPMs of spin with a 7-iron. That is insane. I would never need that much. All right, so going with the driver here, we'll start out with 230 yards of carry. That's actually better than I thought it would be. Most of the time I'm around the 229. I always shoot for 230, but I never seem to get it. So I'm very impressed there. And then 143.4 mile per hour ball speed. That's actually really impressive. I didn't think I'd compress it well enough to get that out of it, but I definitely did. And looking at the numbers here, most of them were within 138 to 145. So even on miss hits off the center, it didn't punish me as bad as I thought it would. So it's actually a lot more forgiving in a couple areas than I thought it would be. And then looking at the spin, it's a very high spinning ball, almost 3,000 RPM. We're looking at 2937. And most of the time, I was over 3,000 RPMs with the spin. That's very high, even for me. I usually average about 26 to 2,700. Even my best hits were 25, 26. So I think the bottom line is with this golf ball, it spins a lot. Whether you're with the driver, whether you're with the irons, it might take a very, very fast swing speed. But my understanding is that a very fast swing speed would only get you more spin, especially if you swing faster. So I don't know that it would actually help. It might actually spin more. Let's go ahead and get into the durability. Now, the durability did have me worried because it is unpainted, and let's be honest, having the paint on there probably helps the durability quite a bit. But honestly, not too bad. I'm gonna actually go ahead and show some pictures here. You'll see a little bit of a grass stain there. My poor golf dog did not make it through it, unfortunately, but that's not their fault. I'm sure they didn't plan for an unpainted golf ball. That'd be kind of crazy. But all in all, there's really not too many scratches, nicks, or cuts. And I can see, I know this might be just foreboding, but I can kind of see the idea that there's not going to be too many cuts and scratches. It's very hard to nick this golf ball. So I will admit, I do think it has consistent flight. I don't think you're going to harm it enough. Even I've bounced off some bricks trying to get scuffs on it, and it's really tough to. So it actually does do a good job at its durability. Whatever cover they put on there does a really great job without having it painted. Whether or not that painting actually matters or does anything, I don't know. But as far as the golf ball goes, it does have a pretty decent durability, so I'm happy there. But now here's the important question: who is this golf ball for? It's kind of a tough one. If you are, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and say it's for advanced players. If you're someone who is beginning golf or even intermediate at golf or even a 7 or a handicap or above, I probably wouldn't recommend it to you. I think there's a lot more golf balls out there with a little bit better forgiveness. And honestly, I don't think that many people need this much spin. It's pretty crazy the amount of spin I was getting. I have a 29-degree 7 iron, which is way too lofted high. Usually they're lofted about like 34 traditionally. So I have a very strong 7 iron and I'm getting 8,000 RPM spin. That's pretty crazy. I've never got anywhere near that. Usually I'm around the 5,800, 5,700, you know, somewhere in there. 8,000 is nuts for a 7 iron. The driver spin was high, and I didn't really get any more spin than I do with any other balls out of the wedges. So all in all, it's definitely an interesting golf ball there as far as that goes. I think if you're a fast swinger, that's the only way I would give this a try. But it's for advanced players, someone who wants to bend the ball from left to right and really shape their shots. Other than that, I would definitely stay away from it. But Wilson does make some other great golf balls like the Duo that is softer. They make the 50 plus if you're like a senior and you don't want to lose a lot. I will be testing those at some time. I just haven't yet. But if you're a Wilson fan, you can definitely go with those. All in all, guys, I really appreciate you being here as always. We're well over 500 subscribers now, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching. More ball reviews coming soon.